and love to all. So before I begin this video, throughout I will be using the term African and African people. And I feel the need to explain this because we have been conditioned to look at Africa in a negative light. And some people that look like me, when you say African to them, they don't identify with it. Or they'll say, well, I'm not African. But despite what we choose to call ourselves, and regardless of race, we are all people of African descent, because the beginning of the human race began in Africa with the African or black people. But in terms of this video, when I'm speaking of African people, I am referring to black melanated people, no matter where we are located in this world and what race we choose to identify with. And you'll understand why I say this as we go through this video. So this is my review of Beyonce's movie Black is King. Symbolism is all throughout this movie, and it's just another example of how they put the truth right in plain sight. Nothing she says in this movie is new. New information is just old information that some may not be aware of. And it just seems new to a lot of people who have been living life not fully understanding what is really going on around them. So it seems like everything we have been fighting for in this world has to do with our material liberation and nothing to do with our spiritual liberation. Meaning we have been fighting for the same opportunities and rights that affect our physical life in this material world. But as we go through this video, you'll begin to understand that everything is about your spiritual self. So we see Beyonce reading a book entitled Black Gods and Kings, written by Robert Farris Thompson, which is in reference to the Yoruba religion. A lot of the symbolism in this movie comes from this religion, as well as ancient Egyptian spirituality. In the Yoruba religion, there are those that still practice traditional teachings, some that blended the traditional beliefs with Christianity, and some with Islam. When we look at the major belief systems of today, they were created during the conquest of African people and don't give us the outright truth. Instead, they give us allegorical stories of fictional characters and events. Yet under the surface is hidden symbolism and hidden truths that are actually talking about the exact same thing, just using different stories from different religions. That most don't understand is actually giving reference to our ancient African teachings. So the movie begins by stating that we are firstborn celestial dark matter. Dark matter is the invisible matter that makes up the majority of the universe. Celestial bodies are natural objects in space that are also a part of the universe, such as the sun, planets, and stars. The same elements that make up the universe are the same elements that African people are made of. So in the movie, she refers to one of the oldest African tribes known as the Dogon, who claim to have been visited by the gods who descended from Sirius, bringing knowledge and wisdom. They even knew about the triple star system way before modern science found out that it existed, and their claims were verified in 1970 by Western astronomers. The ancient Egyptians also had extensive knowledge about Sirius, and like Orion, they considered this to be a very important star system, as they also believed that gods come from here. These beliefs span across multiple civilizations, with the belief that we come from these star systems. This is represented in the movie by the boy shooting down from the cosmos to Earth. And we see Beyonce in an outfit that resembles the universe. We also see her in a similar outfit with a full moon behind her. Full moons symbolize powerful energy. This is symbolic to say that the black woman is the physical blueprint of the universe, as well as the source and portal of life into this physical world. Meaning, if we took the universe and made it into human form, the human form would be the black woman. In the Yoruba religion, the Axia Amula means spirit conquers matter. And in the movie, we see Beyonce in the Dogon dressed like the Axia. So going back to our fight for equality and the things that we want that affect our life in this material world, it comes from the understanding that it is the spiritual that controls the material. But our experience under white supremacy has limited our understanding of this, and we are no longer aware that our existence is much greater than what we have been made to believe. So part of the teachings of the Yoruba religion is for one to reach alignment, or what they call divine oneness. And this is reached by what they call the Ori, which is the consciousness of every human and is located in the head, which is divided into the Ori Inu, meaning consciousness similar to the soul, connecting it to the physical body, in the Apanri, which is a heavenly consciousness. And by uniting the two, one can achieve divine oneness. But this is not just a concept of the Yoruba religion, but is deeply rooted in African spiritual concepts, teaching us about our higher and our lower selves. So the movie refers to the Lion King. In the movie The Lion King, it was about the circle of life and how everything is connected to everything else. So according to Western religion, they give us the word God to describe who created us. But what God represents is consciousness. Consciousness is not a person. Consciousness is the unseen source from which we come, and there is only one form of consciousness. Yet we live in a world where we are taught that we are all separate from each other, and what we do on an individual level affects our individual selves. But in reality, we are all having different experiences in different bodies, yet all connected and a part of the same form of consciousness. So while part of our journey in this world is to become one with our higher and our lower self to reach divine oneness, it's also having the understanding that we are all connected in this circle that we call life. In a part of the movie, they show you the Nile River. The Nile River played an important role in ancient Egyptian culture as well as ancient Egyptian spirituality, as they believed the Nile to be the causeway between life, death, and the afterlife. In spirituality, a river represents life, fertility, and freedom. So in the scene of the Nile, they show you a baby floating down the river in a basket. A basket is a container for holding or carrying things. This scene is symbolic of the child being carried in the womb of the woman, in the birth of the child coming down the canal of the woman's womb. In various scenes throughout the movie, we see women dressed in green. Green is associated with life, nature, and growth. We associate the female with nature and life, which is why we use the terms Mother Nature and Mother Earth. So in the movie, we see Beyonce walking by the ocean with the baby now born in some sort of ceremony. The child is now being prepared for its journey in life. In this scene, Beyonce represents the Yoruba god of the ocean, Yamoja or Yamaya. She is the mother of all the Orishas. The Orishas represent different elements and energies that exist within the universe, on earth, and within us. Also in the scene by the ocean, we see a man with blue paint dancing freely during the child's ceremony. He represents the Orisha god that means limitless. So according to the ancient Egyptian creation story, in the beginning there was only darkness, a limitless black ocean of chaos. In spirituality, an ocean is the beginning of life on earth and symbolize formlessness, the unfathomable, and chaos. The same thing that the goddess of the ocean, Yamoja, represents. Feminine energy is the unseen, the creator of something coming from nothing, formlessness, the unfathomable, and chaos. The same process used to create the universe is the same process that the black woman used to create life. All women can create life, but the black melanated woman is the only one that can create a life that is connected to the cosmos and the unseen source or creator that we call God. Now there is a second scene of the Nile, but this scene is much different from the first. In the first scene, the child went down the river, was prepared for its journey in life, and was limitless. In the second scene, there is some sort of turmoil going on, and we see Beyonce crying as she puts the child in the basket down the river. But this time, the child goes down the waterfall. This scene is symbolic of the child falling from what it once was. Like the first child, this child is still limitless, but it is born with no awareness that it is. And we see the child being prepared for its journey in life in a much different way. This is represented by the Himba woman from Namibia, with hair dyed in red clay, which symbolizes power, fertility, blood, the richness of the earth, and the essence of life. This scene is symbolic of the second creation, meaning the creation of the human race. One of the things she keeps repeating throughout this movie is that our life is our birthright. Birthright meaning all that the Creator has, we have the right to that also. She also states that in this experience that we call life, we have choices. And as a part of those choices, we can either lead or be led. And it is those choices that determine the direction we go in life. As a people, we have allowed ourselves to be led. And because of this, we have lost our identity and we have lost our way. We are being led to do things and act in ways that others want us to be. So in the movie is a scene of the child, now as a young boy, during another course of his life. We see the boy being led into his introduction to the material world, which is represented by the Yoruba god shown in red, known as Ishu, the trickster god. And in the woods we see Jesse Reyes, dressed in an all-black feathered outfit. Black feathers are highly spiritual and symbolize wisdom, protection, and arcane knowledge. Arcane meaning something secret, mysterious, and only known by a few. This scene symbolizes the boy's higher self and ancestors trying to protect him from his focus on the material world. In this scene, she says there are no Bible verses in the forest, meaning everything involving our spiritual nature and understanding is already embedded within us. She says there are no such thing as white angels, that they are albinos. Then goes on to say that the albino is the white man, meaning the white race is a mutation of African people, meaning they come from us. This scene is also about the boy becoming blind to his true self and is now only focused on his lower brain, meaning the material world. And we see the blue orishas that represent one that is limitless, now with their eyes covered, meaning we have become limited in our knowledge and wisdom of ourselves. When we think of internal intuition, it's like we can't explain it, but it's our ability to understand something instinctively. It's like the knowledge of the soul. So in the movie, we see the boy now as a man in current day. And throughout the course of his life, he keeps getting these signs to remember who he is. In these scenes, they show you a lot of silver. In spirituality, silver represents the mirror to the soul, a reflection of oneself and what they are doing in this life. Again, they show you the Axia Amula, reminding him that spirit conquers matter. So in this scene, he is considered dead, which is why the vehicle he is riding in is a hearse, a vehicle that transports the dead. This is symbolic to show that he has become detached from his awareness of his higher self, and he has become focused and attached to his lower self, hence the material world. In the movie, they show you various stages of life. They show you his birth, death, and the afterlife. But there is no such thing as death. There are only different aspects of living. This is why when they show you him being carried in the coffin, representing his death, they show you the exact same scene of them carrying Beyonce on a bed of flowers. This represents the womb of the woman and the child being reborn. The scene of the afterlife represents his true self outside the physical body. Our physical bodies are not who we truly are. They are just the vessel or vehicle that allows our true self to exist in the physical world. When we look at Western religion, they give us Jesus. People look at Jesus as a savior that exists outside themselves. So in the Bible is the story of Jesus riding down the Mount of Olives into Jerusalem. Jerusalem is known as a place where God dwells. In spirituality, a mountain signifies an exalted or high state in consciousness. So Jesus split the Mount of Olives into two, separating it from its northern to its southern part. The northern part is known as Mount Scopus. The Latinization of the word Scopus means watchers. In biblical terms, watchers means holy messengers of God. The southern part of the mount is known as Mount Corruption and is also called the Jewish cemetery. A cemetery, as we know, is a place for the dead. The Mount of Olives is also where Jesus prophesied his death prior to his crucifixion the following day. So he split the mount known as a place of high consciousness into two parts before he died. So hidden within this allegorical story, they are giving you this separation of our higher and our lower selves when we come into this physical world. So Jerusalem, the place where God dwells, is in the lower part of the mount known as Mount Corruption. Meaning everything that we have been taught to follow is the corruption, even the concept we have been given of God. So symbolically, Jesus represents many things, but one of those is the black man and woman. Jesus dying on the cross is symbolic of our crucifixion. It's about the soul's transition into the physical world. When the physical mortal body dies and the soul reincarnates back into the physical world, there is a separation that occurs from its higher to its lower self. So in order for the soul to inhabit the physical body, it must disconnect itself from its higher divine self. So when the soul re-enters the physical mortal body, it dies. Our bodies are the tomb for the soul, meaning it no longer has knowledge of who it is and no awareness of its higher self or its Christ conscious, and only knows the material world. So our soul is trapped in the material body. It is the cycle of life, death, and reincarnation that a soul will have to go through. So some may ask, well, why does Jesus only represent black people? Modern day religion has taught people to worship the idolized version of the sun, which is Jesus. But Jesus is not a person, he represents the sun, which is why there is a sun behind him in every image. The sun is the source of power that sustains everything living on earth. The pineal gland, also known as the third eye, is controlled by the sun. The darker the skin, the more light energy. Melanin is the super absorber of energy and light. African people absorb the light of the sun. Europeans reflect the light of the sun. The ancient Egyptians considered us children of the sun. So in the Bible, Jesus says, the light of the body is the eye. If therefore thy eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. But if thine eye be evil, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. But if therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness? It's talking about the third eye and meditation. The purpose of meditation is to activate the third eye. When you meditate, you are in complete darkness. And it is the melanin that helps the Kundalini energy up the spine to activate the third eye. The pineal gland gives us access to our subconscious mind, our higher self, God. Jesus also says to his 12 disciples, ye are gods. The 12 disciples represent the 12 signs of the zodiac, us. This is why we see Jesus on the zodiac with the sun. Looking back, we have never entrusted the European with our basic human rights. Yet we entrusted them to give us our concept of who and what God is. Yet history clearly shows that the European went into African civilizations and destroyed everything we once knew, and taught us to worship and obey a God that they created. Yet we have always been this Savior that we have been looking for outside ourselves this entire time. Our internal intuition is always going to try to reconnect us to our higher selves. The greatest sacrifice African people have made is that of our higher-minded, more divine self for the lower-minded material self. So when they say Jesus sacrificed his life for us, we represent Jesus, so we represent this sacrifice. We are sacrificing our lives to give them the world they wish to see. So in the movie, we see the boy laying by this tree, dreaming with a mood covering on his eyes. He is dreaming of himself as a man who is represented by Jay-Z. Jay-Z is riding in an animal print car with a Dogon, who represents his connection to his spiritual roots. The animal print symbolizing wealth and power. In these scenes, we hear the boy talking about this time. He is referring to a past life and the experiences he once had, talking about how this time it will be different. For it is our experiences that help our consciousness grow. So we see Beyonce laying in bed with the same mood eye covering on. They are in the dream world. Dreams are important because they help guide us and help us manifest what we want in the material world. Like meditation, they allow us to focus, reflect, create, and connect to higher realms. So we know someone's emotions can ruin the mood. But when people are in control of the mood, they set the tone for how they want things to go and are controlling those emotions. Emotions are energy. Moods are like emotions but less intense and last longer. So it's showing us how they use the dream world to manifest their reality by controlling their energy. It's showing they have achieved balance. This is also represented by those dressed in all white and some in all black, representing balance as well as duality. But balance is not only about the spiritual and material, it's also about the masculine and feminine energy. The lotus is symbolic of eternal life, just like the Egyptian Ankh, which symbolizes eternal life in the womb of the woman. All human life comes into existence through the womb of the woman. But Western religion has given us a story that says life was created by a man that created another man, and the woman was created from the man's rib. But the esoteric or hidden meaning of the story is that everything is made out of atoms. The story of Adam is about the splitting of the atom. When you break down an atom to its core, you have the electron that orbits the nucleus of an atom. This electron orbiting the atom is known as the rib, because of its resemblance to the human rib. So you have Adam, that is really the atom, which is positive. You have Eve, that is the electron, which is negative, and the rib, which is the electron's orbit around the nucleus of an atom. Any atom that has lost or gained electrons are called ions. Because electrons have a negative charge, the gain of electrons creates a negative ion, and the loss of electrons creates a positive ion. When you take an electron from out of an atom, you create a positive ion. So you place the electron into another atom and you create a negative ion. The attraction between negative and positive ions results in strong bonds called ionic bonds that holds the ions together. So when you take an electron from the rib of the atom and it is transferred into another atom, something new is formed from the atom. Creation has begun. So in the Christian creation story, it says, "In the day that God created man, in the likeness of God made he him. Male and female created he them, and blessed them and called their name Adam." Male and female cannot be a male named Adam. The esoteric meaning is that it's referring to the atom. It also means that you can only get a man and a woman from a woman, meaning the woman came first, which is why Eve is before everything in the English language. But even outside of the physical body, life still exists and consists of both masculine and feminine energy. So in the movie By the Pool, we see the men dressed in orange and the woman dressed in pink and orange. Pink represents love and feminine energy. Orange is related to the sacral chakra that deals with sexual energy, creativity, how we relate to ourselves and others, our emotional body, sensuality, energy exchange, and relationships. So in the pool, they are doing a formation, which is giving you the lotus flower. The lotus flower was very important in ancient Egyptian spirituality, with it representing creation and rebirth. It was also the symbol of the sun, and was considered the only plant to flower and fruit at the same time. The women in the pool are dressed in a pink and orange bodysuit, meaning we all begin life as female. It's only when we reach a certain stage in our fetal development do we take on the form of either gender. The circle symbolizes the vagina of the woman. Beyonce swimming out is symbolic of a child being born. What this scene is showing is that outside of our physical body, we are both masculine and feminine energy. It's only when we are born into this physical world do we take on the form of either gender, male or female. So at the end of the movie, we now see the boy as a man getting married in a church. They are showing you the symbol of Christianity. They are showing you Beyonce singing in the church choir. However, you will notice, even when they are showing you the Western concept of religion, they are always showing you the sun, with the understanding that modern-day religions are encoded with the same message of that of our ancient African teachings, but the message is just hidden within different stories. The image of the sun reminds us of what the sun represents, our connection to this source of energy, power, creation, and the universe. The end of the movie is about us reclaiming our power, symbolized by the color red, and the blue Orisha symbolizing one that is limitless, and the black and white symbolizing balance and unity. So we see women dressed in half-moon bodysuits during a formation. This symbolizes us coming back into power, the planetary changes that are occurring, and how things are coming back into formation from what they once were. These last scenes also are about the black woman taking back her position as the creator and protector of life on this planet from the forces that have taken over, reminding us to remember who we are, as we see Beyonce dressed as the Egyptian goddess Hathor, the sky deity, mother of the sky god Horus and the sun god Ra. We see Pharrell standing on recycled containers, which resemble the ocean referring to the beginning of life, recycled referring to reincarnation. We see Beyonce with long braids in front of a purple background, which means royalty, the long braids symbolizing our lineage going back to the beginning of creation. Beyonce gives homage to the black man and woman, reminding us of our connection to the kings and gods that once were here before us, with the understanding that we are not separate from them, or the creator that we have been conditioned to call God. Meaning, if we are a part of the creator, we too are gods. There is a scene where we see Beyonce superimposed in all white, representing the Yoruba god, who is the creator of mankind, symbolizing that the black woman was the first human creation that existed on this planet and created the human race. That the black man was the first man on the planet. He is a mutation of the black woman. The white race is a mutation of the black man and woman. All other races we see today are a mixture of both. So this was my interpretation of the movie. But I would hope that it would spark something within, for people to begin to question the stories that everyone loves to blindly follow. But it's a person's choice on what version they want to believe. But these verses are giving us the same story about the ion. Ion meaning matter. Matter referring to the atoms. In biblical terms, they call it Adam. So in the Bible, Jesus says, I speak in parables, meaning I have been trying to give the people the truth, but they have eyes to see, but do not see, ears to hear, but do not listen. And God says, let us make man and woman in our image, our likeness. And this was done on the sixth day, representing the six-pointed star, Saturn, the sun, Ra, the sun deity, worshipped as the creator of all life. Every day the sun rises and shines its light down on us. Even though Africans absorb the light of the sun, most are reflecting the power that comes from this enlightenment. You have to be open to get the full spectrum of light in order to fully see how all these interpretations are really connected as one. When you are truly able to see, you are no longer seeing through different eyes. You are only seeing through one eye. If thy eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. We are the celestial ones inhabiting the physical body. We are the new beings, meaning we have these experiences in life as new beings, meaning we have lived many lives before. We are the Ra, the sun, the light, the divine that forgot its divinity. But you have to know history in order to unlock the mystery.